This Tuesday, December 5th, NBA in-season quarterfinals betting picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by BetRivers. Claim your risk-free bet up to $500 over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetRivers. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetRivers. And we're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today to make the perfect holiday gift. Download the Game Time app and use promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase today. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, December the 5th, currently 11:34 on the East Coast. Here to recap what we saw last night in the first set of quarterfinals for each conference. And, of course, dig into the two games tonight in the quarterfinals for the NBA in-season tournament. And joining me here to help me break it all down, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, NFL, WNBA, and, of course, here on the NBA Pod, it's Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
And nothing much. Looking forward to some more quarterfinal games for the NBA Cup, which I'm a fan of calling. I don't know why it's called the NBA Cup, but every single graphic says in-season tournament. I don't really get it, but I like the NBA Cup more than the in-season tournament as a name.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I keep on mixing up like the play-in tournament and
it's a force of habit, you know.
Yeah, so hopefully they change that next season, along with a couple more changes that we may see in the tournament for the or at least guess for the future. But Scott, last night, pretty good games of basketball, we can say. Definitely the first game between the Pacers and the Celtics. I know we'll talk about both here, but Pacers get the victory over the Boston Celtics. The final score of 122-112. I mean, this game was a tied game with about less than 2 minutes left, and then Tyrese Halliburton hits a 4-point play, and then Indiana got the stops when they needed to. I know a lot of the season we've talked about how they're not a very good defensive team, but when it mattered the most, the Pacers got the job done. And I think we'll talk about the Buddy Hield shot there at the end here in a minute or so. But what was your takeaways from this game, at least?
Just looked at the same Boston team that we've seen for the last couple of years in big games. And I know that that's going to sound a bit harsh because they did make it to the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. They were in Game 7, almost made it out of a 3-0 series deficit, got buried by Miami in Game 7, but still, it's the same team. Like, I don't think Mazzulla is a good enough coach to win a championship. And the reason why I was hesitant on Boston, at least to win the whole thing, I acknowledge how good the talent is on the roster. But at some point, talent doesn't matter if you're going to constantly get out-coached in these big games. And Mazzulla made no adjustments the entire game. It felt like Boston was getting 3 runs to the rim all game long, and they kept chucking up threes. Now, I get that it's a 3-point-driven league, and I understand that, you know, you're a good 3-point shooting team in general, so you don't want to lose track of your overall identity. But at some point, you got to make some adjustments. Like, they're not covering the rim. You purposefully have Horford in the game to drag Turner away from the paint to open up chances to go to the rim. And you're jacking up threes every possession, and you shot like 23-24% from three. It just felt like Mazzulla was watching his team do the same thing over and over again, and for the most part, it didn't work. So the issue that I have with Boston, my main takeaway, is still coaching. I don't think Mazzulla is good. I don't think that he's going to win a championship. And if this is any indication of a big game playoff atmosphere, which is what it was in Indiana, if we're calling it what it is, Mazzulla came up short again. And I feel like people are going to say, well, you know, they still had some big moments in years past. They were able to come back from 3-0 down. That means something. A reminder, they choked away game, I think it was game 6, and then Derek White had the miracle putback anyway. They should have lost that at 6, if we're being honest. But I just feel like looking at this the overall matchup itself, Mazzulla looked clueless again for most of the game, and I've seen it too many times.
Yeah, I mean, if you go also inside the box, like you mentioned, the 3-point shooting, right? Last night it wasn't there for Boston, right? 12 of 41 from 3-point land, 29.3%. And I had the Al Horford prop last night. That wasn't even close last night. I mean, he did get the rebounds and the assists, but I thought he would have a little bit more I guess, output on the
That's a
offensive side of the
separate point for
basketball.
Boston is that Horford is well past his prime, and Porzingis
Yeah,
is injured, and Porzingis is really good for this team. But
yeah,
when you get Porzingis and you're going to pay him, you know the risk, and he's already hurt.
yeah.
So, yes, you can argue, well, Boston at full strength, different team. I'm not relying on Porzingis to stay healthy for the entire postseason. This current roster is the same team basically as last year. Drew
Yeah.
Holiday was the big addition. He
Mhm,
vanishes all the time in playoff games. We've seen it his entire career. I know he
mhm.
had the one title run, which he honestly wasn't even that good in for the finals. We had a couple of big moments in that series against Phoenix. But it's just the same team that seems to shrink in big moments, and I don't trust the coach. But anyway, to get back to your point with Horford.
No, I was just saying that he just was like a complete no-show last night, even though he did play 31 minutes. Sam Hauser off the bench shot 5 of 7 from three-point land. The rest of the team went 7 of 34 from beyond the arc. So, I mean, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown did their thing. They both had 30 plus points, but after that, I mean, yeah, Derek White chipped in with 18, but Indiana was just a better team last night. On a more positive note, Tyrese Halliburton, when it mattered the most, notched his first career triple double last night in 40 minutes, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists for Hallie last night. And then Buddy Hield. The team total for the Indiana Pacers yesterday was around 119, 119 and a half, depending on the number that you did get. 4.7 seconds left, nothing left to be determined. A 7-point game. Hield steals the ball on the inbounds
Well, you got
pass.
to rewind it, by the way. They fouled, even though the game was basically already over.
Yeah, I think
Then
there's still
Indiana
a
made the free
chance.
throws, and then they
Indiana
inbounded the
missed.
ball right to the other team.
Yeah, so Indiana missed a couple free throws there. There's a Jason Tatum turnover that if they would have scored, or maybe hit a three, it would have gotten a little closer. But Buddy Hill gets the ball, he dribbles to like the left side of the 3-point land. He's acting like he's going to shoot. He actually does get it up, and he actually hits the shot. And that got the Pacers team told to go over the 119 and a half last night. So if you were on either side of that, I think a lot of people were more on the Pacers team told to go over last night. You may want to add Buddy Hill to your Christmas list, for the upcoming holiday season here. But I know we talked about the negatives of Boston last time, but what did you see from the Pacers last night from a positive standpoint here, Scott?
Yeah, Halliburton's the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not really much more to add. I know, once again, he has not made a playoff game yet.
Mhm.
So we have to see. A lot of people have issues calling guys superstars if they don't actually have any playoff resume. I disagree with that. I just think that, once again, it is a team sport, and Halliburton looks just poised to carry this team to a potential playoff spot. They still don't guard anybody, but I am encouraged by their effort defensively in that game with the playoff level atmosphere. I thought maybe they would be overwhelmed by the moment, and in the first half they were, and then they woke up and scored 74 points in the second half. Yes, some of it was garbage time, or I should say free throw assisted, the Buddy Hield three-pointer at the end, but they outplayed one of the best teams on paper in the Eastern Conference for basically the entire second half. So that's definitely a good sign. But I do think what helps the Pacers is their versatility and their willingness to run. Halliburton's great. I don't have to spend much more time on that. I like Buddy Hield a lot as a player. I think that Bruce Brown gives them some defensive just juice. He had 3 steals last night.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin has been good as well. Good
Mhm.
scorer. Not sure if he does much else besides scoring, but sometimes it's all you need, and he gives them a nice boost. Good guard play off the bench with Mathurin. Nembhard didn't play much last night, but I like McConnell. I always have. And Neesmith was very good against his former team at 14 points. I think what I like about Indiana is the fact that they want to play one style, and every player that they have on the roster thrives in that style. They don't have any, round pegs in a square hole type options. It seems like everybody that they have is a plug and play option for this system, and it's a lot to handle. Now, of course, if they run into a physical team and they struggle when it comes to pushing the pace, they might have issues. But the fact that they were able to impose their will and pace on the Celtics as this game went on, and the fact that it felt like it was coming in waves because Mathurin and Neesmith were both solid, gave 30 points combined off the bench, I think I just like the overall depth with how this team plays and how every player for that team can play in the system. And it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've talked about this all season long that the Pacers are going to force you to play out their style of basketball, which is, the foot on the gas. It's, speed, it's fast. And, even in moments last night, like down the stretch in the fourth quarter, they did slow it down a little bit, but even to pull away at the end, like they got back to their brand of basketball of pushing the pace last night. So they get the job done on their home floor, 122-112. They cover the spread. The game did go under the total. And they are now headed to Vegas to wait the winner of the New York Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. Scott, before we get over to the Western Conference semifinal from last night, let me tell everyone about where you can get down a lot of these bets, and that's going to be over at our sponsor here, Bet Rivers. We're brought to you by Bet Rivers. Bet Rivers is available in over 14 states plus Ontario, Canada. Bet Rivers has some of the best live betting markets in the space. Their betting menu is second to none, including a ton of props. Depositing and withdrawing is super easy on Bet Rivers. Sign up using our link to get a risk-free bet up to $500. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Scott, last night, the second game of the semifinals, which was the first of the Western Conference between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings. And this was a fun game to watch as well. I mean, first quarter, it seemed like the Sacramento Kings were pulling away, but then within that final, about a minute 30, even that final minute, New Orleans came rushing back, or came storming back, at least to make it a 1-point game. There was a point in the first quarter where I think Sacramento was about like 13 or 14 points. They came out firing out of the gate, hit several 3-pointers in that first quarter. I think Keegan Murray started 3 of 3. Malik Monk came off the bench. He had a couple for them as well, but I think we got to give credit to New Orleans Pelicans for not only fighting back in that first quarter, but they carried that over into the second quarter, took a lead into the halftime, and then pretty much it was 500 basketball at that point. They won the second half by 2 points to get the 127-117 victory last night, which was led by Brandon Ingram down the stretch. He was absolutely incredible. He finished the game with 30 points last night. Herb Jones, 23 points. Valanciunas finished up with a double-double as well, and all 5 starters finished in double figures. Zion, pretty much a non-factor last night, but seemed like they really didn't need him after the performance that they got from both Herb Jones and BI last night. But I talked about this yesterday with Terrell, is that I think we have to handicap this New Orleans Pelicans team a lot different now because they're finally healthy, right? They got Herb Jones back. They got Trey Murphy back. They have Jose Alvarado back. So this team now, I think defensively is going to not only be improved, but also be better on the offensive side of the basketball. For the Kings last night, Scott, Domantas Sabonis, triple-double, 26 points, 13 assists. 13 rebounds and 10 assists. De'Aaron Fox did his thing. Not the most efficient shooting night for him. He was only 10 of 25 from the floor, 1 of 7 from three-point land. But after that, it was pretty much, not a lot of contributions. I know, like I mentioned, Malik Monk had 21 points, but other than that, nobody else stepped up for this team. But I saw you tweet out that De'Aaron Fox didn't look like De'Aaron Fox, that we're used to seeing. But what was your takeaways from this game?
Well, I'm not going to fully roast Fox because a lot of his teammates didn't show up, but Fox was brutal for the majority of the game. And it was a great example of why you should not just blindly box score watch. You're going to look at the stats and go, oh, Fox had 30. He was really bad for a large portion of that game, especially in the first quarter. And I think he had like 5 turnovers, like 2 minutes into the second quarter. He was brutal that entire first quarter. But the point is, it didn't matter early on because the Kings were still up by a lot. Sabonis was great last night. He gave great energy. Defensively, he's still not very good. That's expected. We know what Sabonis is defensively. But he definitely came to play. Keegan Murray was fine early. A lot of touch fouls that kind of took him out of rhythm, especially guarding Ingram. Not his fault because Ingram went pretty nuts last night and nobody could stop him. But Murray got into foul trouble. I'm not a Trey Lyles guy. I thought he was pretty abysmal last night. He also got into a shouting match, and there was a bit of I don't want to say a headbutt, but there was a technical foul called on him, arguing with some of the other players on the other team. And I'm like, all right, Lyles, calm down a little bit. Monk is great. Monk's one of my favorite players in the league. I just think that he's a tremendous role player. He's going to win 6th Man of the Year, in my opinion. But once again, the main issue that I have with the Kings, and I mentioned it in the playoffs last year, I don't believe they can win serious games and serious series with Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter in the starting lineup. I just think that they're limited in terms of their upside. Now, Huerter, people are going to defend because he is a 3-point shooter. He gives you spacing. He comes around screens, kind of like a Duncan Robinson role, where you have to always keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Except when he's not hitting three-point shots, I don't know what he does for this team.
He's a
I don't think he
streaky
really
shooter.
does much. Defensively, he's okay, I guess. I don't think he's a great defensive player, but he's fine. He rebounds okay for a guard. I don't know what Harrison Barnes does for this team. And Barnes, I have a bigger issue with than Herter. I'm not a Herter guy, but still, we saw that he couldn't play in that Warriors series last year. Herter was brutal for the entire series. But I don't know what Barnes does for this team. I mean, you're looking at Barnes in his career, and he's been known to be a pretty good three-point shooter who can occasionally take you off the dribble. You play 34 minutes last night, and you take 3 shots. You go 1 for 3 from the floor in 34 minutes. I don't know what you do on this team. And I was very critical of him in the playoffs and during the offseason because the Kings brought him back, and I thought that was the main position they need to improve on. But the main issue I have with the Kings, I think that Harrison Barnes and Herter are not good enough to play 34-plus minutes in big games against good teams. I just think that they're liabilities, in my opinion.
Yep.
Now, Herter's not as big of a liability as Barnes is. Am I too harsh on Barnes? Because Barnes, I watched at North Carolina. I was a fan of his. We saw him at Golden State. No-show a bunch of games, including Game 7 against the Cavs. He no-showed. We saw him with the Kings last year against the Warriors. Bricked that three-pointer to win the game. No-showed the couple games after that. We've seen Barnes constantly turn invisible in big games, and I had the same issue in the past with Andrew Wiggins. Extremely athletic, small forward, but Wiggins had his moment. He was the second-best player in an NBA Finals series, and you could argue that he was a serious candidate for Finals MVP. Wiggins had a moment where he was engaged for an entire series, and he was a big piece of why Golden State won the championship. Have you seen a single moment like that from Harrison Barnes his entire career?
He hasn't gotten to that point either, and I think that what I was going to mention is that
what point are you referring to?
The Harrison Barnes hasn't got to the point in his career ever where he's gotten to like even has he gone to a conference finals?
Is with the Warriors.
Yeah, but he won championships with them, right?
He won the championships with the Warriors, but at no point have I looked at him and said, "Oh, this guy made some big plays down the stretch to win some games." Like I just don't think Barnes is that guy. I know people call it Eaton for being a little bit aloof mentally, and he's not fully engaged. I feel the same way about Harrison Barnes. At some point, I understand the argument of veteran leadership, but it comes at a cost. You're paying this guy to play 30-something minutes a game, and I don't trust him to do anything on the court.
I think for Harrison Barnes, that Golden State was hoping Harrison Barnes would be what Andrew Wiggins is for them when they won the championship, if that makes sense, right? Like that role of being a defensive guy, providing some type of offense when you need it. If your stars aren't having a great night and having some moments, but Harrison Barnes just hasn't lived up to that, that I guess expectation we can say for him. But I think for this Kings team, like you mentioned, Sabonis had a great game last night. We know Fox, okay, it was a one-off game, but historically, and I mentioned this yesterday with Terrell, that he hasn't been very good against the Pelicans. I think that the Pelicans match up very well with De'Aaron Fox. And if you kind of go through, I know, box score watching is a little, subjective, I guess we can say, but it's a bad matchup for him against the Pelicans, what I'm trying to say. But I think for this Kings team is that they're hoping that Keegan Murray takes that next step to be that third guy alongside Sabonis and Fox. Herter, I don't have a problem with. I mean, he's a streaky shooter. I think even the broadcast.
That's kind of my issue. I have an issue relying heavily on streaky shooters who don't really give you much besides shooting.
Yeah, and then their bench is pretty much non-existent right now. It's
besides Monk.
Yeah, and pretty much it. So I know, again, bigger questions right now for the Sacramento Kings, but again, we got to tip our hats to the New Orleans Pelicans. They get the job done. They win as a 3.5 underdog, and they are also headed to Vegas, waiting the winner of the game tonight between the Lakers and the Suns. What else you got?
I just want to point out once again, I think Herter's less of a liability than Harrison Barnes. I'm just not a big fan of streaky three-point shooters in your starting lineup who don't create anything off the dribble. Like if Herter's just running around screens and you're not going to give him the ball, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at Herter. But to go through Barnes' stat line last night, I said before he played 34 points. He took 3 shots. He had 4 points. He had 4 rebounds, 1 assist.
And
even
he
if
hit
you're
that
not going to score, 4 rebounds and 1 assist, 34 minutes. Are you just doing cardio out there? Like, I don't know if you agree, or maybe or you think I'm being harsh on Barnes, but at some point, there are some guys that are just wired a certain way, and Barnes is wired a certain way that I don't like
I
in
think,
big games.
yeah, I think for Barnes, it's the fact that we know De'Aaron Fox is going to get up his shots. We know Sabonis is going to get his shots as well, and you're going to get those. You're putting Keegan Murray and Kevin Herter ahead of Harrison Barnes to knock down 3-point shots for you. So I think I think the counter argument for Barnes would be is that there's only one basketball for the Sacramento Kings team, and maybe he's not going to have the opportunity to get those shots up or even get to the basket because you have De'Aaron Fox. And maybe that's a rotational thing that maybe Mike Brown needs to figure out, that if he wants more out of Harrison Barnes, then put him in a situation where Sabonis is not on the floor or Fox is not on the floor. Because even Malik Monk got up 14 shots last night coming off of the bench. And we know he's a chucker as well, but he knocks it down as well.
He's so damn good, though. I
Yeah,
love
and
Monk
he can
so
get
much.
to the basket as well. Like Harrison Barnes can't do that. So I think it may just come to a point where Harrison Barnes might be that odd man out, and you put a defensive guy into that starting lineup where you're okay with, the shot distribution between Sabonis, Fox, and then, Murray and Herter getting up 3-point shots, because Murray and Herter last night combined for 15 3-point shots last night. And again, I guess Harrison Barnes was just that guy that wasn't beneficiary of, getting any shots up last night. So
once again, I don't have issues with guys that are not going to consistently put up points. My issue is if you're not going to put up points and you don't do anything else that's that productive outside of scoring. Because Barnes, rebounding wise, played 34 minutes, had 4 rebounds. And the second leading rebounder on the team, by the way, was Fox and Herter. You got out rebounded by both guards on your starting lineup. Yeah. And then once again, he had 1 assist. So there's no ball movement. He doesn't rebound that well. He doesn't go to the basket. Defensively, he's fine, I guess. I don't think Barnes is a great defensive player. It seemed like Ingram got whatever he wanted last night, and Murray got that matchup. So I don't know who Barnes is actually guarding on this team. I just don't know what his purpose is on this team. Simply put,
he had stealing a block last night in the box score. I give him a little bit.
Sabonis had a chase down block too. That doesn't really mean much,
All right, Scott. Before we get into the games here for tonight, let me tell everyone where they can play along some of their favorite fantasy players, and that's going to be over at Underdog Fantasy. Look, 2 more quarterfinal games here tonight, and Underdog has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL is still going on. We have NBA tonight. NHL's in full swing. College basketball's in full swing, and we're here for bowl season in college football. So simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Stay tuned at the end of the episode. Scott and I will put together our Underdog Fantasy entry for the 2 semifinal games here tonight in the NBA. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign in with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy using promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Game Time. Hey, look, it's bowl season for college football, NBA, like I mentioned. If you want to get out to Vegas, or if you just want to catch a regular season game, let Game Time help you out. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't have to be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets. Start getting hyped for the fun you're going to have. Their app is so fun to use and easy to use is the best part of it. They have great flash deals and last-minute tickets always available. Easy to find and buy tickets for every type of event in your area. So it doesn't just have to be sports. If you want to get out to a concert, a comedy show, theater, and much more that's near you, you can do that on the Game Time app. The Game Time guarantee also means you'll get the best price. Get this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And also, you can get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set to go. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email or wait for them in the mailbox. Game Time tickets make the perfect holiday gift. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Scott, let's get into the 2 games here for tonight. The first is going to be the Eastern Conference, the second quarterfinal game between the New York Knicks. They are in Milwaukee tonight. to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks currently sitting as a 5-point favorite, currently over on Bet Rivers. Total of 229 in this game. Let me pull up the injury report here for both of these teams. For the New York Knicks, pretty clean injury report. Everybody is a go. Only Evan Fournier is questionable, but he doesn't really do much for this team anyways. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Pat Connaughton is going to be out, and also Jay Crowder is going to be out. Connaughton's dealing with a right ankle sprain, and Jay Crowder had the left abductor surgery, so both of those guys are going to be out tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks. These two teams did match up this season in Milwaukee, where the Bucks did get the victory, 110-105. The Bucks, I believe, were a 6 to 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you got the number. The Knicks did cover that game by 5 points. Tonight, like I mentioned, they're up to 5 right now, are the Milwaukee Bucks. Here, Scott, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's really tricky for me because Milwaukee's 9-1 at home, but I still watch this team play and I still don't like them defensively. Of course, offensively, this team's great because you still have Lillard, you still have Giannis. Middleton has been a bit iffy, but the point is he's still a good third option in general. Beasley's been good. Portis I like. Brook Lopez has been great this year. Shout out to Brook Lopez. But the Knicks are a team that's not going to go away. They're not going to back down from anybody. You can argue in a playoff atmosphere, it's both good and bad that Thibodeau's their head coach because they're going to bring in intensity defensively, but Thibodeau doesn't win many playoff series. So you can make an argument it's going to come back to bite him, but this line feels right to me, just simply put. I see this game hovering around 5 most of the way through. The thing is that I have to wonder is if the Knicks can get enough offense to actually keep this game close. Brunson had 45, and they still didn't cover in the first meeting this season in the actual group stage of the in-season tournament. Now, Barrett didn't play in that game. I'm not a big Barrett guy, but at least he's a shot creator for that team. So I guess the question that I have for this matchup is Milwaukee should be able to get theirs offensively because Giannis is still going to be able to get his. I know that the Knicks have Mitchell Robinson and they still have a good front court defense, but still, you got Lillard, you got Giannis, you're going to score points no matter what. Do you think, A, the Bucks defense shows up for this game at all, or B, do you think the Knicks defense is good, Knicks offense is good enough to exploit a bad Milwaukee defense?
So I will mention this, that I know to start the season that the Milwaukee Bucks were one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA, right? So so on the season, their season average now has improved to up to 21, but sorry, they're up to number 13 overall over their last 5 games. And again, a lot of that may just have to do with who their opponents have been, and maybe they haven't been very good offensively. But I think the one consistent team defensively has been the New York Knicks, because over the last 5 games, they are top 5, and then on the season, they're still the number 3 best defensive rated team. So I think you mentioned that I think that the Milwaukee Bucks can put up points, but I feel like historically we've seen these two teams trend toward lower scoring games. And going back to, let's say, the 2020 season, the under is 7-4 between these two teams. The Bucks have covered they're 6-4-1 against the spread against the Knicks since the 2020 season, 8-3 straight up. So I want to take the Knicks here, but I just feel like that there may come to a point in the fourth quarter where the offense of the Milwaukee Bucks is able to pull away, something similar to what we saw with the Pacers last night, because I feel like still outside of Jalen Brunson for the New York Knicks, I don't know who's going to step up offensively for this team. Like Julius Randle, he's
better
been
lately,
up and down,
but overall not efficient.
Yeah, and I think the only one guy that I do trust is Jalen Brunson. You also mentioned I'm not an RJ Barrett guy as well. You mentioned it gives you another shot creator. But I'm leaning here with the Knicks. I think this line is pretty much spot on, though. Yeah. But I lean here with the Knicks, man.
I think the one thing I want to point out, though, is that the first meeting in the group stage did land 215. Total in that game was 223.5. Both teams, though, shot horribly. The Knicks shot 39.6% from the floor. The Bucks shot 42.7% from the floor. The Knicks shot 25.6% from 3. Milwaukee shot 51.6% from 3. So if you're expecting it to average out, that does favor the Knicks, because the Knicks ended up shooting about 3% worse and about 26% worse from 3, and they only lost by 5. So that definitely does give the
Yeah.
Knicks the main reason why the Knicks kept it so competitive was the rebounds. The Knicks killed them on the glass. They out
Mhm.
rebounded the Bucks 56-41.
Yeah.
That I think is where the Knicks can hang in there. I do think Robinson, Randall, I like Josh Hart. I'll mention him in a second for props.
Mhm.
They're a really good rebounding team. And
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Brook Lopez is a player who's having a very good year. He has never been a great rebounder for a guy his size. Big reason, takes a lot of three-point shots, more of a finesse big man, rim protector big man, but his rebounds aren't that great. Giannis rebounding is going to be fine. We know what that is. Is Lillard a great rebounder for a guard? Not really. Beasley's fine for a shooting guard. Middleton a good rebounder? Not really. He's kind of fine. The Knicks can dominate in second chance points. I think
Yeah.
that's where this game gets interesting. I think I'm going to lean to the Knicks because I'm basically just going to dare the Bucks to shoot 50% from three again. And if you're asking me what I think is more sustainable, the Bucks shooting 50+% from three, or the Knicks to out rebound the Bucks by 15, I'm going to pick option B. I think the Knicks might just crash the glass and dominate the boards. I like the Knicks in this spot. I think that the Bucks defensively are not great. The Knicks once again only shot 39.6% in that first game, and Brunson still at 45. There's
Yeah.
a lot to like about the Knicks if you're expecting things to balance out more in comparison to the first meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned I think there was three guys that were in double-digit rebounds in that starting lineup in that game earlier this season between these two teams. Randall had 12, Josh Hart had 10, and Mitchell Robinson had 15 in that game as well. They also had 16 offensive rebounds in that game compared to the 7 that only the Milwaukee Bucks had. So, yeah, I'm leaning here with the Knicks. I do like the under in this game. This number is creeping up. I think it's going the wrong direction here. It's up to
It's a
229.
massive number.
Yeah, especially for these two teams.
And a
And you
playoff
also look at
atmosphere, potentially.
and you also look at the pace, right? New York Knicks are a team that doesn't play with a lot of pace. On the season, they are the second slowest team. The slowest team is the Chicago Bulls. Now, our counter argument will be that the Bucks are a top 5 team in pace. So I think that again, I think we'll see similar to what we saw between the Celtics and the Pacers last night, where I think everybody including myself, was expecting that to be an absolute barn burner. But defense, it'll turn into a playoff atmosphere in that game for the Indiana Pacers, and I think the second half may slow down a little bit. So I'm leaning with the under 229 in this game. Actually, I like the under. I'm going to be playing the under 229 in this game.
I like the under too. I think this total is way too high. Once again, I guess the argument is for the first meeting landing 215 was both teams couldn't shoot. So they're expecting that to improve this time around. I still have questions about the Knicks offense besides Brunson. Randall, I don't trust with his jump shot. He's an inefficient scorer, but occasionally has a decent game. Barrett, we've talked about. I think he's inefficient as well. I'm not a fan of his. I like Quickly, but he's a bench player, so that doesn't really mean much. But I do think Milwaukee offensively is good, but of course they want to play with pace. If you're Thibodeau, why the hell would you let Giannis get a one-man fast break opportunity? The Knicks should be sprinting back on defense the entire game and forcing a rock fight. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be as much of a rock fight as the Celtics-Pacers first quarter last night, but if the argument is in a playoff atmosphere, and if you want Milwaukee to play your style, you have to abandon the I should say abandon. You have to force Milwaukee to abandon the up-tempo style of play they like to play at. You have to get back, try to make this an intense half-court battle, and that supports the under. And I think at some point in this game, maybe in the fourth quarter, you're going to see a half-court battle breakout with the high-intensity defense, and that might kill the pace. So for me, I'm on the under in this game as well. 229 with the Knicks is just too high.
Yeah. Looking at their season long stats here for the total. Let me see here for the Knicks. Let's see. So Knicks totals this season, they are, if it wants to load here. Here we go. Not much. They're 10-9 to the under in road games, 5-5. So nothing really there for this team. All right, let's get to player props here. Scott, what do you like?
So a lot of rebounds for the Knicks. I said before they out rebounded the Bucks 56-41. I will point out RJ didn't play in that first game, so Hart was starting. So he did play a bunch of minutes, and it is a little bit inflated. However, I love Hart rebounds in this game at 5.5. You know he's had at least 7 rebounds in each of his last 6 games against Milwaukee. That's 7.
Yeah.
We need 6. So I think Hart's a player who's automatically priced in to about 27 minutes a game, sometimes more, maybe based on foul trouble. But Hart is a guy who hustles for every rebound. He's been one of the most underrated rebounding guards for his entire career. And with the Bucks having a lot of size with the starting lineup, with the likes of Giannis and Lopez, in a way, it actually benefits the rebounds for Hart's to be with the bench unit because he can capitalize on some of the mixed lineups with Portis, maybe Lopez. We'll see what happens there. But Hart in the first meeting, even with him starting, had 10 rebounds. I do think that foul trouble could be an issue for the Knicks, especially with the front court dealing with Giannis the entire game. So maybe you see some interesting lineup combos, more Hartenstein, a little bit more of Hart. We'll see what happens. But it's the fact that Hart has been so good against the Bucks in years past. He's such a key piece to this Knicks team and to Thibodeau's identity of being a very hard-nosed, tough, gritty defense. You can tell Thibodeau loves Josh Hart. He might be his favorite player on the entire team besides Brunson. I think Hart's in line for a great game. Randall rebounds I like too. It was at 9.5. It was plus money. The only concern is potential foul trouble dealing with Giannis, and we'll see what happens there. Maybe Mitchell Robinson rebounds, but I really do think the Knicks match up very well on the glass against Milwaukee. And that was kind of the main pivot or the main angle I was looking at. So I don't mind rebounds for Randall at plus money. I like Hart a lot at 5.5. I think he might have 7 or 8.
Yeah, I can't argue against that. Again, like in the first matchup, both Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle had 12 plus rebounds, and Josh Hart had 10 in that game, filling in for RJ Barrett. And I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Hart is part of that closing group if this game does come down to the wire. Just because, like you mentioned, that he makes the hustle plays, he gets after the loose balls, and again, a guy that fits the mold of what type of player you want to be with Tom Thibodeau. So yeah, I do like the Josh Hart call. I think I also have to look at Giannis rebounds in this game as well. Historically,
somebody's gonna have to rebound for that.
Yeah, too. And especially when we talk about Brook Lopez, a guy that likes to hover around the 3-point line. And then if he is matched up on either, depending on if it's Julius Randle or if it's on Mitchell Robinson, I think that he may get played off out of the rebounding. I think I guess close to the basket. I'm trying to say, but Giannis over the past couple games against the Knicks head-to-head, 15 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 13, 14, 13. I know last 2 games he hasn't done it 10 and 8, but I think there's definitely a possibility for him to, again, get over 11.5 rebounds. I don't think I can get away from Jalen Brunson in this game. I know back-to-back 40-point games, but if there's an offensive player that I trust on the side of the New York Knicks to be consistent, that is Jalen Brunson. And I think for a reason, this number was at around 24.5 last night. It's all the way up to 26.5 at minus 145 at some books. So I'm looking at Jalen Brunson points and assists to go over tonight. I think he also can distribute the basketball here as well. That number's at 32.5. So I really do like Jalen Brunson in this matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, we know Dame doesn't play a lick of defense, so I think that Jalen Brunson definitely has a matchup advantage in this game over Damian Lillard. Anything else?
Brunson anyway, as well, because you mentioned once again how he's done against Milwaukee. Even forgetting that, we still don't trust anybody else to actually generate good looks on this Knicks team besides Brunson. I think Brunson has to shoot. To be honest, I know Milwaukee can't guard him. The Knicks know that. The Bucks know that. So you can argue maybe they try to double. I don't think they're going to. I think that they'll let Brunson get his, and then they'll try to deal with everyone else, and they'll try to win the game. So I think Brunson might be in line for 30, 35. I'm not sure if he's going to go for 40 again, but I do think Brunson's going to have a good game.
Yeah. Anything else for this game?
I was thinking if I wanted to make a case for Lillard assists in this game, if I think Giannis has a big game, does Lillard just capitalize and get a bunch of assists on it? I think I'm going to stay away from it. Lillard was pretty good in the first meeting this season. He had 30, got to the foul line 12 times, only took 15 shots. So he was actually pretty efficient in that game. You have any thoughts on Lillard in this game?
I think he's still going to get his. But I think that, again, if it comes, like, who do you think we think that matches up on Dame? Is it going to be Brunson, or do you think they put RJ Barrett on Lillard?
I think it would be Barrett. The argument for Brunson is if he has to do everything offensively, we got to limit the energy usage on the defensive end. So, plus Barrett gives you length. So I think Barrett's probably going to guard Lillard. They'll probably throw Brunson on Beasley maybe and just tell him most magicians are going to be chilling in the corner, save your energy. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I think so too. What's his wins prop? 29.5?
Lowered? Let me check.
Yeah. Let me see here. Oh, it's only 25.5. And
Pretty
trending
low.
towards 26.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get it. Again, there's only 2 scores on this team that
Minus
are
115.
yeah. Damian Lillard and Giannis. I mean, I don't hate it at that number. I thought it would be a lot higher than what it is, but yeah, I don't hate it for Damian Lillard. Scott, anything else for this game?
Not really. My only question for you, though, and the reason why Randall rebounds, I do a YouTube play every night. I chose
Yeah.
Hart instead of Randall. Who's guarding Brook Lopez on the three-point line? Because I feel like it makes more sense for the Knicks to let Randall do that and to just force Mitchell to stay in the paint, right?
Yeah, and I think it would probably be Randall. Well, I mean, we know Brook Lopez can, I mean, not off the dribble, but he can, like back down like outside of the paint, and we've seen him do that
And
multiple
Robinson's
times.
cheating in the paint anyway, though, so he's going to get built no matter what. I just
Yeah.
wonder, because Lopez has been killing teams with the pick and pop game to also open up space for Giannis. If I'm the Knicks, I tell Randall to guard him, and I just let Robinson sit in the paint the entire game.
Yeah. Again, I think it's just both guys get into double-digit rebounds here.
So do I, but I'm saying I think Robinson could be in line for a massive rebounding game if they force Randall to be the one chasing on the three-point line instead.
Yeah. All right, Scott, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the second game of the quarterfinals in the Western Conference. We got the Phoenix Suns. They are in LA to take on the Lakers. Lakers currently sitting as a 1.5-point favorite, currently over on Bet Rivers. Total is sitting at 229.5 in this game. Looking at the injury report for the Phoenix Suns, Eric Gordon is questionable here tonight, and then Damian Lee and both Bradley Beal are out for this game. For the Lakers, Anthony Davis is probable. Rui Hachimura is probable. LeBron is always questionable, but he will play more than likely. And then Jared Vanderbilt, he is back. He is actually probable for this game for the LA Lakers, and Gabe Vincent continues to be out for the LA Lakers. These two teams have matched up, I want to say twice already this season.
It was either 2 or 3. It's 2.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, twice this season. The Suns are 0-2 in both games, but they have been closely contested games. I think the first game
they were leading by a decent amount in both games.
Yeah,
they fell apart in the second half.
Yeah, and then the second game, the Lakers also won in Phoenix, 122-119. I believe Devin Booker did not play in that game. Let me see. Yeah, no Devin Booker in that game for the Phoenix Suns. But this number is now moving towards 2. Actually, it is up to -2 on Bet Rivers right now here in favor of the Lakers. Here, Scott, let's start with the spread. -2 in favor of the Lakers hosting the Phoenix Suns.
First of all, I want to congratulate the Lakers. You are no longer the worst first quarter team in the league. Congratulations. You are now the 3rd worst first quarter team in the league. They have gotten better. Playing the Pistons helped. I think they were up by like 20 after a quarter there. For this game, I'm going to lean to the Lakers. Simply put, I just think the Suns, I've hated the way this team has closed games all year long. And the issue they've run into the Lakers is the fact that they open up a decent lead in the first half every time. The 3rd, 4th quarter comes around. They look stagnant offensively, a lot of ISO, fadeaway jumpers, and they lose. And I've seen it all year long, and I don't see that changing in this spot. So you can make the argument that, Booker missed a game or two. Durant was by himself in the first game, and, that resulted in a disastrous 4th quarter. But I do think I have to go with the Lakers here. They're just so good at home. Yeah. We've seen them dominate at home for years. AD didn't play last night, so he should have a good game. This is not a back-to-back. But AD is going to be a matchup problem for this team. LeBron's a matchup problem for everybody. Yes, I know Booker's great. I know Durant's great. I get it. I think the Lakers supporting cast is better than the Suns supporting cast.
Yep.
Which I don't think is a hot take. I just think that's the reality of these teams. So I'm going to go with the Lakers here. It's a home team. I've seen them thrive in playoff atmospheres before. I have not seen the same from the Suns this season. I have not liked how they've closed games. It's going to be a close game, and I trust the Lakers to make enough plays down the stretch to win. So give me the Lakers at home.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Lakers here as well. You mentioned it. The Lakers at home, 8-2 straight up. They are only 4-6 against the spread.
They're laying some big numbers against some bad teams, though.
Yeah. And then the under is actually 7-3 in Lakers home games thus far this season. I mean, for everything that you mentioned, it came down to me for the depth of this Lakers team, right? Again, if when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are off the floor, I think obviously there's a significant fall off. But for the Lakers, you can plug and play. I know moving Austin Reeves to the bench has been beneficial not only for Austin Reeves but also for the Lakers. Second unit. I think Anthony Davis is going to get whatever he wants. LeBron will rise to the occasion here as well. And again, getting Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt back, I think that's huge as far as depth goes for this Lakers team. And for the Phoenix Suns, again, if Eric Gordon's not able to go here tonight, I think that's a guy that's been filling in very nicely in the absence of Devin Booker and Bradley Beal when Devin Booker has not been playing. But on the road this season for the Phoenix Suns, they are 7-3 straight up. But again, they haven't played the greatest competition on the road. The 3 losses have come against the Lakers, the Raptors, and then it was the 76ers. So I guess we can say average to above average teams that they've lost to on the road. So I do like Lakers in this spot here. And I think at the beginning of the season or beginning of the tournament, when this started, that the Lakers said that they were taking this very seriously. And I think that's going to continue here for the LA Lakers. And we talk about, I guess, conspiracy theories and things like that. I mean, the league probably wants the Lakers to be in Vegas. Again, that's going to attract the people to come watch the game. And it feels like them putting the finals, the semifinals and the finals in Vegas is kind of gauging the interest of NBA fans to see if they actually come out to games and if a team eventually ends up in Vegas. But that's a separate conversation. But yeah, with you on the Lakers.
Yeah, because the league's thrilled that the Pacers made it to Vegas instead of the Celtics.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, but again, Pacers are a fun team to watch as well. I mean, a lot of the casual basketball fans probably don't know that, but for a fun team to watch, a league pass team to watch, I think the Pacers are probably at the top of the list, at least for myself. Scott, total, I'm on the under here as well. Like I mentioned, for the Lakers at home this season, games have been trending towards the under. They've been one of the better defensive teams at home as well. 7-3 towards the under, and then the 2 matchups this season, like I mentioned, one was 100-95, but the other one did fly over the total where defense was optional here. But I'm leaning towards the under. What do you got?
I'm going to lean under as well. I know that there's a lot of firepower involved, so people are going to blindly like the over. I really expect a playoff atmosphere here. I mean, We have not exactly seen LeBron against Durant in that many matchups since he's joined Phoenix, and I do think that they're going to go at it, but I do think that this game will once again take on a bit of a half-court battle, especially in the second half. You might see a high-scoring game early. We'll see what happens, but I expect a lower-scoring second half. I'm on the under. I just think the stakes are a bit high, and we saw from the atmosphere yesterday in both arenas. Pelicans did take the Kings out of that, but still, the point is that the atmosphere was kind of nuts early on for both of those games. I think that the crypto center is going to be absolutely just full of energy for this game. So I'm on the under. I see a close game, competitive, game dies in the low 220s, maybe high 210s.
Player props, what are we looking at?
Well, there's a lot of choices because people are going to belong like overs for Durant because he's been, very good against LeBron in the past. Booker assists is worth a look because he's been a good facilitator if you do think that Durant's going to have a great game. I think AD points is worth a look. I'm trying to think if I want to take a Nurkic under because I think that he might get into some serious foul trouble in this game, dealing with the Lakers constantly attacking the rim. And we've seen the free throw disparity numbers for the Lakers for the last 2-3 years. I think Nurkic might be in foul trouble throughout this game, so I wouldn't mind his unders. But I do think if I'm looking for any props, I kind of just want to go safe and take like LeBron PRA. I can see LeBron just having a massive stat line game in a pretty much a standalone NBA on TV game against Durant and against the Suns. LeBron's done well against the Suns. They can't really guard him. I think LeBron has a big game tonight. You?
Yeah, we saw we saw it last night that the stars pretty much shined in both of those games, right? We talked about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum giving over their points props. Tyrese Halliburton, triple-double. We saw Brandon Ingram rise to the occasion last night. De'Aaron Fox, despite a bad shooting night, still had 30 points last night for the Sacramento Kings. So I think this is going to be another game where I think in both of these games tonight that the stars are going to shine. And yeah, I like Kevin Durant tonight. I think his points prop was at 28.5. I think that if the Phoenix Suns do pull this out here tonight, that you probably saw a big game from Kevin Durant having 30 plus points here tonight. So I do like Durant. If you want to tag on his rebounds as well, he's been doing a pretty good job of rebounding. And like you mentioned, that if Nurk does get into foul trouble guarding Anthony Davis, your next big man is 6'11", 7 feet, Kevin Durant, who's going to be able to get those rebounds for you. I know the last 5 games he hasn't done a very good job of rebounding, but in the 2 matchups this season against the Lakers, like we mentioned, he had, let's see here, 39 points and 11 rebounds, and then 38 points and 9 rebounds as well. So points and rebounds here tonight for Kevin Durant is something that I do like in this game. Grayson Allen rebounds is also kind of sneaky in this game as well. I know that he's traditionally your 3-point shooter, but if you kind of go through his box score and you look at the ability for him to rebound, I mean, he had a game against the Denver Nuggets where he had 10 rebounds in that game. That number, I think I saw he was 2.5 or 3.5 for Grayson Allen on his rebounds. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it's at 3.5 at -110. I don't hate that. Again, it's only 4 rebounds where he's more than capable of doing it is Grayson Allen. And again, 2 games the season against the Lakers, he had 6 rebounds and 9 rebounds. So that was another look I was looking at here, Scott.
Yeah, I think that Allen's in line for a good game, especially if Eric Gordon doesn't play. You might get more minutes. You might see an uptick there. If Gordon does not play, who do you think plays the most minutes out of all the other options that they have?
I think Okogie is an option.
Goodwin a lot recently.
Yeah, he's been taking on that point guard position. I think it's Okogie, Goodwin, and then Allen he still plays starter minutes, so I'm not going to throw him in that conversation.
He's still like Nasir Little or somebody, like I don't know.
Yeah. Is Watanabe's not on the injury report, but I mean,
he doesn't play. I mean, he's not a guard anyway, so that really
wouldn't impact him. Probably, I think it'll probably be Goodwin.
Probably. So maybe that's a prop if Gordon doesn't play.
Yeah. Any other player props?
I thought about 80 blocks, but the Suns take so many jump shots that I'm not even sure if he's going to get his blocks in this spot. So
yeah.
I've seen conflicting things, though. I know that Buddha mentioned in the comment section that they allow contact, so he doesn't mind the Nurk rebounds. They allow contact in most cases, but they called a bunch of fouls in that Kings-Pelicans game last night, where I just thought that it was relatively soft. So it might just depend on the overall crew. But I do expect to see a pretty ugly game since I am going with the under in this spot. I just think Nurkic might get played off the floor with some foul trouble. It's one thing if the refs are going to swallow their whistle a little bit more. It's different when LeBron and AD get downhill on every possession, and you're praying they don't call fouls. I think Nurk might get into some foul trouble pretty early in this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, again, I just feel like the stars are going to shine. But again, those props are a little bit inflated when we talk about these quote-unquote standalone games, especially in what we do expect to be a playoff atmosphere in both of these games here tonight as well. All right, sorry to call you LeBron. Scott. Let's do our lock and dog first, and then we'll do our underdog fantasy entry. You want to lead us off?
Sure. So for the lock, since the Hart rebounds moved, they got it at like -140 overnight or earlier this morning. I think it's at like -150 now, so I'm not going to bother on that. Give me the Lakers as my lock at -2. I actually know what I'll take the money line. I think this game actually will potentially be a 1-possession game, so I'm going to play it safe and take the money line. I think the Lakers care more, just simply put, about this tournament than the Suns do. And I do think that the home court advantage is a pretty big deal for the Lakers. You're looking at the Lakers winning the first 2 games against the same team. Yes, I know Booker wasn't there entirely. Booker's also battled some injuries for the last couple of weeks, so I'm not sure if he's even fully healthy, even if he's playing. I don't like the supporting cast for the Suns. Gordon might not play. The Lakers are getting a lot of depth pieces back. I like Hachimura. Vanderbilt's not a good offensive player, but defensively, he can give you some unique looks. And I do think that even if he's not going to be able to stop Durant or stop Booker, he can really help the pick and roll defense with this team and with some contesting on the 3-point line. So I think that return's actually a big deal. But give me the Lakers. I like them at home in this spot, and I do think the Suns will be winning at some point in this game, but I don't trust them late in games, and I know the Lakers will always go down swinging at home. On the road, not so much. At home, yes. So give me the Lakers on the money line, trying to find the best price available. It's about -115. Give him the Lakers
Mhm.
money line to -115.
Yeah, I like it. I'll agree with you about the Lakers here. I think this should be a game like we talked about. Like they said at the beginning, LeBron said that they're taking the tournament here seriously, and I think we talk about the depth, like you mentioned, for this Lakers team. I think they definitely are a lot better than the Phoenix Suns right now, especially if Gordon is injured. That's another piece that you're going to be missing here tonight. So agree with you. What did you got for your dog?
For my dog, I was trying to think if I wanted to actually go with the Knicks money line or not, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'm going to get there. I quickly want to just look up what Brunson 30 points is. I might just not reinvent the wheel. I think I'm just going to go with Brunson again. Do you have a price by any chance for
Yeah.
30 available?
For Jalen Brunson, 30 plus point is plus 120, 35 plus, plus 270, 40 plus, plus 750.
I'll go baby dog here. I think I'll just take the points at 30 plus. I just think Milwaukee can't guard him. I think that the Knicks realize he's their best offensive player. Yes, Randall's going to take some really bad heat check shots. We know, like, it's going to come with the territory. But Brunson is so damn good against this team. Dropped 45 in the first meeting against them this season. I actually think I see a plus 150. Let me just quickly confirm that or not. But the point is, I'll go with Brunson 30 plus points. I'll say the actual line once I find it, but give me Brunson 30 plus.
All right. All right. So for my lock, I'm gonna go with the
I'm gonna guess an under in one of these games.
yeah. I think they both go under, but I think I'm gonna go with the Knicks Bucks under. And simply put, because the Knicks are a half court team and they don't push the pace a lot. Like I can see early on where for the Lakers and Suns that they want to get a little bit up and down the floor, kind of, I guess, quote unquote, get the jitters out and just get into the game flow of things. But for the Knicks and Bucks, I think this turns into a half court game. And like we talked about the rebounding aspect of this game for the Knicks, that Josh Hart, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, that if they're able to limit the 3-point shooting and also not give the Bucks second chance opportunities in this game, this could be a lower scoring game. So right now, the best number I do see is 229.5 for this game. I, again, disagree with the direction that it's going. So I'm going to take the under as my lock here for tonight between the Knicks and the Bucks, under 229.5. For my dog, this worked out well for me last week where I put together a rebound parlay. I'm gonna go Mitchell Robinson over 9.5 rebounds, and let's go with Grayson Allen over 3.5 rebounds. That'll get you around plus 225, plus 230 on that rebounding parlay as my dog. So Mitchell Robinson over 9.5 rebounds and Grayson Allen over 3.5 rebounds. That gets you to plus 227 as my dog for tonight here, Scott.
All right,
Did you
I found the
find a better
updated
price?
price. Yeah, on Brunson. I found plus 135.
All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, let's do our underdog fantasy entry here for tonight. Again, if you don't have an account yet on Underdog Fantasy, I don't know what you're waiting for. Make sure you sign up for an account and use that promo code SGPN. You'll get a $100 bonus of up to $100, 100% bonus up to $100 when you use that promo code SGPN. Again, Underdog Fantasy, new account users, use that promo code SGPN. 100% bonus of up to $100 on your first deposit. All right, Scott, let's put together our entry here for tonight. Where do you want to go first?
You want to start off with some type of rebound prop for the Knicks?
Yeah, so I see both. So Mitchell Robinson is up to 10 on Underdog Fantasy, and Julius Randle is at 9.5.
I'm guessing Hart's not listed because he's a bench player.
Actually, no, they have. I mean, Quentin Grimes is listed. Yeah, Josh Hart's had 6 rebounds on.
Okay, I was kind of going to take whichever one was not at a whole number between Robinson and Hart, but they're both at whole number, so that's not ideal.
Yeah.
You want to start off with Brunson points? We'll go from there.
Yeah, so Jalen Brunson is at 27.5 points here tonight. Again, I think that this is a 30-point game for him.
It's going to need to be if they want to be competitive.
Yeah, and again, like we mentioned, back-to-back 40-point games against the Bucks. I don't really think they have a guy on the defensive side that can slow him down. So we'll start there. Jalen Brunson higher 27.5 points.
Do you want to do
Let's
Grayson?
see.
I'll let you do Grayson rebounds if you want it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a little sneaky look. Let's see if they have Grayson Allen listed though. They don't have his rebounds, unfortunately. They have rebounds and assists combined. It's at 6.5.
Do you like that or do you hate that? If you're not sure, we don't have to take it. But I'm just
yeah,
wondering.
I'm not sure what his contribution is as far as getting assists. I mean, he's consistently been getting 3 over the last 5 games. Let me see what he did against the Lakers in the 2 matchups. But that was probably without Devin Booker, so his numbers were a little inflated. Now, let's skip that one. I don't feel confident on the assist part of it.
Do you want a LeBron or an AD prop, or maybe a Durant or a Booker prop?
So let's go. What do you think about LeBron? Points are at 26, or we go PRAs at 41.5. And then Anthony Davis, 25.5 points. That seems a little low.
I think it's a little low too.
Okay, let's do that one then. Anthony Davis will go higher on that. That's for tomorrow. And we probably want to throw in either Mitchell Robinson or Julius Randle rebounding prop. What do you think?
I think I'll go with Robinson.
Okay.
I mean, he had 15 in the first game. So
yeah. So he's at 10 right now for his projection here tonight. Mitchell Robinson, 10. Let's go higher on that. All right, so we'll go Jalen Brunson higher, 27.5 points. Anthony Davis, 25.5 points higher. And Mitchell Robinson, 10 rebounds higher. That $100 entry will get you a nice payout of a return of $600 here tonight for the 2 NBA in-season tournament games between the Bucks and the Knicks and the Suns and the Lakers. All right, Scott, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Anything else you want to mention, my man, before we get out of here?
Not really. I'll be back again tomorrow with Terrell for the Wednesday show. A reminder, though, my plays, the lock's going to be the Lakers money line at -115, and the dog will be Brunson 30-plus points at +135.
Yep, and I have the under in the Knicks and the Bucks game, 229.5. And then dog is going to be a 2-player parlay on rebounds. Mitchell Robinson over 9.5 and Grayson Allen over 3.5. Like Scott mentioned, Terrell and Scott will be back tomorrow for the regular season games for the other losers that didn't make it to the quarterfinals. So a big schedule tomorrow. So check out Scott and Terrell at the usual time. Make sure to follow Scott on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. More importantly, for the 76 of you watching right now, smash that like button for us before you get out of here. It really does help us out. And also make sure you subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. If you haven't already, you'll get that notification when we do go live Monday through Friday for the NBA Gambling Podcast. All right, that's going to do it. Like I mentioned, back tomorrow at the usual time. Till then, enjoy the games here tonight. Good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.